Hi guys, and welcome to this evening's investigation. Tonight we've got something a little bit special for you. I've been saying it before. Tonight we are going to investigate a property that has had an enormous amount of paranormal activity within it and even in the grounds. The building itself has been here since 1790, but prior to the building that's here, there used to be a working mill on the site, and that burnt down. And subsequently they put this wonderful house here. Part of the property is still dates back to the original building, and that would be the stables outside, which is also well known for activity. My colleagues that had done an investigation here before had all sorts of activity in there. They'd heard horses whinnying, they had something thrown at them, and they heard horse hooves walking on the floor. And this is while they were in there doing the investigation. There's said to be a spirit of a maid here who sadly passed away in the first fire when it was a mill, and she is said to still frequent this property. She still walks around it, and she still lets her presence be known. I spoke to the owners of this property, and they've told me that when I walked in initially, it had such a lovely and warm and welcoming feel to it. But they've told me that it's not always like that. But the reason is that it feels nice because A, there might be energies here at the moment which are favourable and kind and nice spirits, but there are times when dark energies move in and it becomes a fight between the dark and the light to gain control of the property and try and get through to communicate with ghost hunters. So hopefully we've got equipment with us this evening that we're going to utilise and see if we can manifest some of that energy and manifest some of that activity, and hopefully get some audio as well as visual evidence for you. But as I've said before, we can't guarantee that because that's not always so. You can't pull it out the bag. It has to happen naturally, and a lot of the time it doesn't. But this property has such an amazing history, and also there is the spirit of a child or children here, and there's one child in particular, I believe, that is meant to be heard crying upstairs. I think the story goes that may have been a child that belonged to one of the maids that was either, I think it was stillborn, and that's what happened. So it is a fantastic property, and we're hopefully going to walk in the footsteps of those energies, walk in the footsteps of the past, maybe liaise with people that are long gone and forgotten, but whose memory still hangs on in the atmosphere and the environment of this property. We're going to walk in the footsteps of those that have passed, those that are of memory, but hopefully those that are still with us in spirit form today. So stick with us, guys. Come along for the ride. I hope you enjoy it. I hope we get some evidence, and all being well, we'll be able to give you a good programme. So welcome, everybody, to Sutton Manor, Hull. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sutton Manor in Hull. And I have with me this evening the owner of Sutton Manor. This is John. Pleased to meet you, John. Thanks ever so much for allowing us in here and to investigate this absolutely stunning property. So, we're actually in the kitchen at the minute, or the parlour, it probably would have been known as back in the day. And the house itself has got an amazing feeling to it at the moment. It's and I say at the moment because, according to John and Joanne, things can change because it depends on what energy comes in at any particular time. So, John, could you tell us a little bit about the paranormal activity that you've experienced over the years?
Where to start? You name it, I've had it happen to me.
You have, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
I haven't been scratched, but other people have been scratched in the house. I've had my name whispered in me, shadows, doors opening, closing, footsteps. You name it. I've probably had it happen to me.
And there are particular spirits that are actually tied to this house, aren't there? There's a spirit of a young maid, I believe.
Yeah. A young girl called Jennifer Farthing who was burnt to death in a fire, 1789.
And that was the original building that was here prior to this, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Excellent. And what activity did she manifest? Has she been seen or?
Mediums have picked up on it. It's just when you know things related to something, people have had it where it's just a room filled up with smoke, and I think things like that, sort of, whether it's sort of psychic smoke, I can't explain it. You have to experience it yourself, but it's been witnessed by numerous other people, and I think that sort of thing sort of manifests from possibly her and the fire. The house has had a history of fires,
Yeah, those two things do seem to tie into each other, don't they? And she perished in that fire, didn't she? That
perished in the fire, yeah.
But there was a second fire here as well, wasn't there?
There was a second fire, yeah, in the mid-70s. My dad came to look at the house. It was a bit run down at the time, but it hadn't had a fire in it. And he made an offer, and they knocked the offer back. And 6 months later, the solicitor rang him up and asked him if he was still looking for a house, and he said yeah, and he said, oh well, the circumstances have changed with Salthouse Road, and there's been a fire, somebody got in a house and there's been a fire, quite a major one in the main front room, used to be called a billiard room then, it used to have a full-size billiard table, and they set a fire on the billiard table, and the floor had burnt out, and the windows and the window frames had burnt out, but it hadn't sort of burned any of the other rooms really. There's a lot of smoke staining throughout the house, but that room was burnt out totally. The shutters on the windows, the actual sash windows themselves have all been replaced. The fireplace we took out of another room, that room up there that hasn't got one, we took out because that one was sort of burnt, to keep an original fire.
I know we saw some of what looked like smoke marks in the corner of the room.
Because that room hadn't been decorated, you see, all the other rooms had been decorated since then, and that was sort of onwards over the late 70s. It was done over a period of time.
So that was quite fortuitous for your father, wasn't it?
Well, if it hadn't been set on fire, then he wouldn't have bought it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I believe in personally, that properties that of this age have got their own personality and their own energy.
It would have been developed because there was a property developer who was after buying the place.
Really?
Yeah,
at the same time?
Yeah, and the house wasn't listed at the time. It only got its listing about 1982 or something. So they could have. He wanted to knock it down and build on the site.
Done anything to it at that time.
That's right.
Because there was no legislation protecting it at the time. No. But it's a protected property now.
It's grade 2 listed now.
Right.
So
okay.
You can't really change. You can do a little bit.
But everything's got to be done by the book, I guess, isn't it? So the materials have got to be.
You won't be able to knock it down and build houses on the site. Put it that way. No.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, that these properties, that it's almost like a property of this age with its own personality. It picks the people that it wants to be wardens. Because once a property gets to this age, you become a guardian of it as opposed to an owner, don't you?
Exactly what I say. You're a guardian of the property.
And there's also the crying of a child, I believe, to be heard from upstairs.
Yeah. Well, we had a group here one night, and it was witnessed by. You was here that night, weren't you, Joe? Witnessed by about 12 people. It was a horrible crying of a young child, all in one main bedroom, the one that the secret door comes between,
the adjoining rooms.
Yeah, it was in there. We got it, but
And has anybody got any idea the history of that child?
We don't know who that child is. No,
right.
There's no.
I know because I looked online and there was some information regarding, or they believe that the maid who perished here could have.
Pregnant,
yes.
But that's not fact. We don't know that for fact. That's
right,
what
okay.
a medium has told us.
So that's medium information.
And sort of, a bit legend sort of thing. But it's documented that she did burn to death in the fire.
Right, so we know that for fact.
Whether she was with child,
okay,
we don't know.
But then I guess you don't know what children lived in this building prior to the centuries.
A lot of children, or not only people living here, they used to have a maid and what have you, and a butler. And they also used to have a man who lived above the stables where the horses at the coach house. We call it the coach house. Yes. And there's an upstairs dwelling upstairs, a main living room and a couple of bedrooms up there.
And that's quite active as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Groups have been in there and got stuff.
Yeah, I think you did, Gary, didn't you? With the team before, you got activity in there, didn't you?
Yeah, we got something thrown against the cupboard door.
Right.
And like on that area.
And horse hooves, apparently, was it?
Picked up that on the EVP.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
It hasn't been inhabited for a good 100 years.
Has it not?
No.
So that's
it's exactly as it was, Well, it's quite dilapidated inside,
but it's original to what it was.
Yeah, from the 1720s. That's still remaining from the original mill.
And the
house.
original mill was 1720s, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and there's an old Georgian shop front as well. You'll see it in the daylight.
Oh, yeah, I think I noticed. Yes.
Like Georgian shop front, like a small shop, whether they used to sell the grain from there or whatever.
Or,
but
yeah.
some sort of. And then there's other like buildings that have been there. You can see where all the buildings. So it's like a little courtyard, and there was all sorts of activity back in the day.
So you must have strong connections, and you, Joanne, I guess you got strong connections with this property as well, haven't you?
Well, I've been visiting for some years now.
So you've built up a.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it does build up exactly that.
Yeah,
So,
excellent.
I'll be sad to leave, but I've had my time here, you know.
And that's it, isn't it? And that's exactly
I've
what
had
it
my
is,
time.
isn't
It's
it?
time to move on and let somebody else. Because it needs a family, this house, you know, not just me on my own. So you know.
And it is, to be honest with you, it's an absolutely not just fascinating, but it's a gorgeous property. It really is stunning. And I can imagine that at the time that it was built,
Yeah.
there'd have been very little around it, would there?
No. Even up to 10 years ago, all you could see before them houses were built, you could see farmers' fields as far as I could see over the front ways. Yeah.
Excellent.
Only the last 10 years it's been built on.
And when you're leaving here, is it soon, isn't
Yeah,
it, John?
soon.
Right,
I'll be
okay.
gone in the next 2 months,
Right.
and a new family moving in, young family.
But you were saying that you're really happy that the family, because they want to treat it like a home as opposed to.
And it is his mother and father, they can convert the coach house, and they're going to live in the coach house.
Oh, brilliant!
You know.
Oh,
so,
excellent!
yeah, they're all sort of chipping in. You know.
Oh, brilliant! So it's
It's going to be a
going
proper
to be.
family home. Yeah.
So it's going to go into its next incarnation then.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's
That's wonderful. Right, John. Thank you ever so much.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Joanne.
No
Very
problem.
kind of you. Right, guys, we're going to get on with the investigation. We're going to do a little walk around in a minute, I believe, aren't we, Gary?
Yep.
And then we're going to crack on with the investigation, and we're going to see what we can get. So I will speak to you. Spoke to John, and we're going to speak to Joanne, who's also got connections to this property going back many years. And Joanne was just telling me something about. I asked if they'd seen apparitions, and then Joanne's got a story that she'd like to tell you.
Yes, so as I was saying, the craziest thing that I've seen happen here is in one of the bedrooms upstairs, there's a large, solid, round wooden table. It really is substantial, quite heavy thing. So one night there was an investigation going on here, and at the time John and I were downstairs here
Right.
having a cup of tea. We could hear a lot of commotion going on upstairs, and like, oh, they must be having some activity. And they all came rushing down and saying, oh, that was incredible, incredible. And we're like, what happened? And she said, the table, it was moving on its own. We had the circle around it, and it was like dancing around. I'm like, really? So I went to the medium in charge. I said, would you mind just going up there with me and see if we can repeat it? So there were probably about 4 or 5 of us then shot back upstairs. And as soon as we got into the room, you could tell the atmosphere was electric. And she started to call out, could you please try and do that again? I know it's difficult. But as soon as she started speaking, the table just shot across the room. There was nobody near it. There was
Nobody touching it, or?
Absolutely not. And it must have moved about 2 metres on its own.
Wow.
And it was a solid piece of
And you
furniture.
actually saw that
I
firsthand?
actually saw that. And I've been doing a lot of investigations over the years, and that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So once it moved, we're like, well, put the lights on. I checked everything. There's no wires, no gimmickry going on. It was just absolutely amazing, right in front of our eyes.
That's very cool.
But it had been levitating prior to that.
And they'd obviously
dancing
seen all
around.
that, and then
Yeah.
and you went up there and got verification of it.
Got verification. But the atmosphere, it was like electric
Yeah,
in the room.
yeah.
So
Was the hairs on the back of your neck? Right?
definitely, absolutely.
Yeah,
right,
it's all on your arms and that, does it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's that energy, isn't it? It's that
Yeah.
energy that's still in the
So
atmosphere.
what do you think? Is it a spirit thing, or is it some sort of physics that we don't know about? Who knows?
Are the two intertwined with each other?
Exactly.
That's the thing, isn't
Exactly.
it? It's
There's,
like, you
there's
know.
definitely something that we haven't sort of fully understood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We didn't believe them, did we?
No.
Really, it was.
No,
No.
it was.
But
so
you wouldn't know,
incredible.
would you? To be honest, you
So
want
I
to see it
said
for
to
yourself.
Joe, I said, go on, go and have a look. And then when Joe said, I knew, because I know that Joe's 100%.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Then
with
I
somebody you
believed them.
trust.
Not that I didn't believe them. They all seem fairly credible, but
Yeah, you're
until
going on
somebody
somebody.
you know really knows.
It's still second-hand information, isn't it? Until
Yeah.
you get that
That's right.
verification from somebody
I
that
just
you're-
wish I'd have gone up and
you
seen
trust.
myself.
And
Re-
over the years, I've had people touch me, voices, all the usual classic
The usual
kind of things
stuff.
here. But that was just the absolute cream.
That is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. There's an interesting thing about you, isn't there? You developed, that sounds really rude, doesn't it? You developed the Alice box, didn't you?
I did. What, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Now,
Yeah.
the Alice box is a piece of equipment I've used myself, and is it still available?
Yes.
It's a superb piece of equipment. I think it was on Windows.
UK.
There you go, alicebox.co.uk. It was on Windows, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I had it myself, and you can use it to connect with spirits or energies. And we've had really good results with it. In actual fact, Joanne, because you obviously you know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you've described it quite
it.
well. So, kind of an electronic Ouija board, if you like, but it comes up with words and/or phrases.
Yes.
Sometimes nothing, sometimes garbage. You expect that the paranormal's not going to give you 100% all the time.
Right.
But when it's on song, it's really on song. And I've had so many people from around the world saying, "Look, this is amazing." And I've had videos on YouTube saying, "Look at this, look at this. We were talking about this," and it was responding kind of in real time, like a conversation.
Yeah.
So you see, this is the brilliant thing that this piece of kit was used globally, and it was used by all sorts of paranormal investigators, groups, teams, whoever, and everybody that I know swore by it. So yeah, it's great, and I'm very proud to be standing or sitting here next to Joe now, and
Thank you.
the developer of it.
It was developed here as well at his house.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh, so there you go. So this house is a piece of
Been
paranormal.
so credible, so credible.
It is
Unbelievably
an
so.
amazing piece of kit. In actual fact, I'll
amazing.
put some photos of it off of my.
Flabbergasted me many a time.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? I've used other things like the Ovilus, but the Ovilus itself is very hit and miss, I think.
It said
but
things only I
with-
could know.
Exactly.
Only I could know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you're a budding investigators, or you are investigators, and you've got Windows, or even if you haven't, do what I did. I actually bought a tablet so that I could get the Alice box on it. It was that good. So brilliant. So thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
And thank you for inventing the Alice box. It's
Thank you.
made my job a lot easier.
Good.
And thank you, John.
Oh,
Thanks,
you're
thank
welcome.
you, Joe. Thank you. Right, so we're going to crack on with the investigation in a while. We're just going to. The boys, I think, have gone for something to eat, and then we're gonna have a little walk around and start. Speak to you in a bit, guys. Cheers. Right, guys. So we are now in the living room at Sutton Manor, and we are about to begin the first vigil. And the first vigil will be conducted by Gary, and Gary's using a new piece of equipment. He's actually using a ghost box that he had imported from the States. That's right, Gary, isn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah. S-Box.
S-Box, it's called. So it's a very new piece of equipment off the shelf. You've received it recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
So here, I'll just give you a view of this. I'm going to get one myself. So it's a pretty cool piece of kit. And the difference between this and the ghost boxes that we use generally is this has got the ability to record, which we have to use a separate recorder when we do it with other ghost boxes. And I think the thing about this is because it records off of the actual ghost box itself, I'm guessing it might cut down on the interference and also hopefully any kind of extraneous noises that are in the environment. So we'll see anyway, but it looks a really good piece of kit, and it must be because Gary wouldn't buy it if it was rubbish. So there you go. Thanks, Gary.
Do you want this one, right?
I'll do that in a bit. Are we going to use that second of all?
Yeah.
Use that second of all. So there is another piece of kit that we're going to be using later in this room. We're using that.
Yes, we
Yeah,
yes,
We're going to use that in this room, and this is Adam's new piece of kit. And it is a ghost portal, but it's different than the ones that myself and Gary own. So you'll get a good look at that later. So in the investigation in the room is myself, Gary, Tom, and Adam. And I'm going to do lights out now, and then you're going to go to we're going to go to darkness. So as you can see, guys, Gary started up the ghost box. I think he's letting it settle in, and then he will ask questions for the vigil.
Okay, is anyone here present with us? Want to make yourself known? Right. Can you speak to us through this device here next to me? Can you say your name? What am I doing? I'm trying FM.
I think that's radio, isn't it? You're getting through at the minute, bleeding through.
Yeah, I've been a lot of experience with it. torches,
Yeah, I've got mine somewhere. But I need a torch to find it. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, there you go.
It was already on in the pocket.
So Gary is looking, he's gone on AM to begin with. We generally process it on FM. It was on FM. FM generally, it proffers better results. So we'll see how we get on now.
Is anyone here with us? Want to make yourself known? You speak to us through this device next to me. Can you say your name? Or you can try a bit harder. All we need is your name.
Is that radio bleed, Gary?
What's what, sir?
Is that radio bleed coming through?
I don't know. Yeah, something's coming through. I think it was this experience.
When I ask if that's radio bleed coming through, what I'm asking is it picking up radio through the airwaves, or is there something interfering with it? And Gary said that, yeah, there is something interfering with it. So that's radio bleed. So hopefully we'll get a crisper and cleaner answer now, if we get any answers.
If anyone there with us, please come through. Can you say your name? How many people are here with us?
Any good?
I'll go back to FM.
Okay, mate. Oh, was that AM, was it?
It was, it just so much interference.
Again?
Okay.
Well,
Is anyone there with us? Can you come through?
I have no idea.
How many here with us?
That sounded like the theme to Emmerdale. So as you can see, kind of little radio bleed. And that's not what we want. We want white noise with distinctive voices coming through, even if they're slightly hidden in the white noise. That's what we're looking for. What was that?
Just singing. Quite the radio's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you say your name? Come on, come through. How do you feel the owners are coming moving out and you get new owners? There'll be new people in this house. How do you feel about that? Well, can you tell us how many of you are here with us?
That's not playing ball in here, is it?
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
Do you mind if I ask out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that alright, mate?
Yeah.
Are there any spirits or disembodied energies in this room with us this evening? Or indeed in this house? We are here to make contact with you. We are here purely and simply to, or out of curiosity, to find answers. We don't wish and have no wish to treat you like a sideshow. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to get you to play tricks or entertain us. We are here out of love and light. We are here to make contact with those that have passed but still visit this beautiful property. So if you would, friends, could you at least, if you don't mind, would you please tell us your name? Could you tell us if there are any other spirits here with us this evening? Could you shout out the name of one of us? No, it's not playing game for me, mate. It's not. Yeah, it's not doing it, is it? You know what? If you don't want to contact with us or make connection, that's fine. It has to be on your terms. We don't want you to feel compromised. We don't want you to feel pushed into a corner. We want you to do it only if you're comfortable with it. And we would be ever so appreciative if you did, but we respect the fact that if you don't, that's fine. Could you maybe touch one of us or say one of our names? So the man who is holding or is with the machine at the minute, the man who is working the machine, could you say his name, please? Could you say my name? Could you say the name of the man in the corner? Or could you say the name of the man sitting next to me on the opposite side of this table? Gary?
Yeah.
To your left.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's all right. It's just the light is casting my shadow. I thought it looked like it was the outline of a person, but it's the light catching the camera.
Right. So we do Adams.
Yeah, I think we're going to do Adams now. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to use Adams. Just bought a new piece of equipment, which is a ghost portal. It's different to the ones that Gary and myself use, as I said, and it's the first time using this tonight, so hopefully this will proffer some results. But we shall see. We can only test it and see.
Oh, you do it that way, not the other way. There's no radio in it, yeah. Gonna work out the
Right, so Gary's looking at Adam's portal at the minute, and it's sitting next to the voice recorder and the K2 EMF machine, which picks up on stray electrical impulses, which is sometimes considered an indication that there are spiritual energy around.
Sweeping now,
So that's sweeping, so that's good.
Someone want to call out?
Alan, your gig.
Is there anybody here with us who would like to communicate with us? You can use this device on now. Talk to us. Can you tell us your name?
Is there any way of fine tuning that, or is that it, Gary?
What do you mean?
Is there any way of like?
No, I think it's pre-done.
Oh, right, okay.
That's why.
So it is what you see is what you get.
Yeah. So that's stopped now. Well, I guess it's stopped. It just stopped sweeping after a while.
Yeah, you have to start it. Can you tell us your name? How many of you are here? Anybody else want to call out? Dan?
Hey, mate.
Do you want to call out
I can do, yeah. Are there any spirit people with us here this evening? Any spirits or of people that, or energies of people that were connected to Sutton Manor? If so, how many of you are there here, please? I shall ask that question again. If so, how many spirits are there with us this evening, please? My name is Dan. I'm very... Go on, mate, sorry.
I'm Adam.
What was that?
I don't know. Is it Gary? Is it?
I thought it did. My name is Dan. Can you say Dan? Could you maybe mention one of the other chaps' names, please? That definitely wasn't, for the audience, that definitely wasn't the piece of paranormal equipment.
Can you tell us your name?
Could you tell me my, not that I know it, but could you tell me my name, please?
Come on, you can do better than this.
Are there any spirits in this room with us this evening? What do you think of the fact that John is leaving the property? Are you sad that John is going? Are you annoyed, disgruntled, angry?
And you're gone.
When you're gone?
You're gone.
What's that when you're gone?
When you're gone, yeah.
What do you mean when we're gone?
Or when John's gone?
Saw you.
Show you?
Show you. Same voice, wasn't it?
Yeah. What are you going to show us, friend? Are you going to show yourself to us?
Do we have to come and look for you?
If you're in this room with us, whereabouts are you? Whereabouts in the room are you, please? He liked the questioning about John, didn't he? Are you going to miss John when he's left the property? I don't know. What about Joe? You must know Joe. You must have a relationship with Joe. You must... What was that?
How many of you are here?
What's that?
Oh,
There's a voice under there, wasn't there?
yeah. I think they're there for a minute.
Can you come forward and talk to us, please? Can you make your presence known to us, please?
Come on, do something for us.
Can your voice power through the white noise? Can you use the white noise to form words? Use that energy if you could, please. Harness that energy. Use it as a voice. Is there something there again?
That was like an echo, wasn't it?
Yeah, his echo's on.
Yeah, it's an echo, yeah.
It's on. It's got an echo on it.
Yeah, I mean, that voice.
Right, guys, so we are now in the... Was this... Whose bedroom was this? Was this Eddie's? Adam?
I'm not sure, but...
I think it might be Eddie's bedroom, which is John's father. And this room used to have a wardrobe in it, which was a walnut effect. And I think it was John's grandparents had bought it back in the 30s or 20s. John was saying, and they were Quakers. And when they bought it, it was fine, no problem with it. But what happened was, and sometimes we call this pareidolia, but I'm thinking there might be something more significant going on here, because what happened was that over the years there was a pattern of a face that kind of manifested into the lines of the walnut, into the lines of the walnut, into the wood itself, and it took on a very sinister look, I believe. The wardrobe itself has now been moved on to another haunted property. He's letting them use that. He's lent that to them. We've still got the beds in here that were part of that property, part of that bedroom suite, and the bedside cabinets. So this was called the demon room because the wardrobe, the image that came forward on the wardrobe was said to sort of be representative. It looked like demonic. I never saw it. The guys saw it. You saw it, guys, didn't you?
Yeah.
And did it look?
It did.
It looked quite. But as I say, you know, pareidolia does sometimes do that. But as John quite rightly pointed out, people that are Quakers wouldn't be. They would have noticed that straight away. So anyway, we're gonna do a lights out in here. We're using Gary's portal. As you saw downstairs, we think we had quite good results with Adam's new one, and Gary's is tried and tested, and we're going to hopefully get some kind of responses and build up some kind of rapport through that with whatever spirits or energies could possibly be here. So I will speak to you in a bit. If you feel that you'd like to open the door, that would be wonderful, but it's got to be on your terms. Is that? Well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Thank you so much. I'm more than appreciative for what you're doing.
Was it you responsible for throwing something last time I was here? What was that?
That was something, wasn't it?
Big low-level growl or something, wasn't it?
It was something, wasn't it?
Yeah. You do that again for us, please? Are you missing that wardrobe?
Rick?
Yeah, again. Have you anything to do with that wardrobe? Hello then.
Odd, wasn't it?
So I've done this up a tiny bit, just kill off some of that extra noise.
No, that's fine, mate. Is Jennifer still here? Are you still here, Jennifer? Build your energy. Don't force it.
Die down a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you still with us? Yeah, it seems to have gone a bit flat, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you ever so much for trying to communicate with us and communicating with us. It's ever so kind of you, and we're very appreciative. Thank you so much. You back? How's that?
Noise.
Well, fair enough. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Oh, he's back again then. Or he was.
That's just normal.
Sorry?
That's normal now.
Yeah.
Is that any better?
Yeah. I think whoever it is has moved on to a bit. Probably got bored with us banging on.
You just shut up.
Thank you very much. So we've finished in here. As you can see, we think we've had some great results here in this bedroom. We're going to move on. We're going to have a break now, because believe it or not, it does take the energy out of you. Whether that's spirit utilising our energies, or whether it's us focusing and really trying to hone in on what's being said, the concentration. But we need a rest. We need 5 minutes, and then we're going to go on to the next part of the property and carry on our investigations further there. Stay with us, please. So we are in the library now, downstairs. Obviously, we're still at Sutton Manor, and yeah, that's how big this place is. It's got its own library, and we're going to be doing vigils in here. And as a form of experiment, we're going to leave the lights on, and we're going to see how we fare doing it with the lights on, to see what we can get vigil-wise, see what we can get through the voice recorders. So yeah, bear with us. I'll set you up, and then we'll get cracking. So we are about to start the first EVP session in the library. Is there anybody in this room with us? Is there any people from the spirit world that are here with us this evening? Would you like or care to make contact with us, please? Is it possible for you to tell us your name, please?
Can you make the lights flicker?
Is it possible to flick one of the books off of the shelves? Or to throw something, please?
Just not something too heavy.
We're looking for spirit people that used to inhabit this property or worked in this property, or even the property prior to the building of this, which would have been the windmill. Are you here with us this evening? Is it me or does it feel flat?
You mean dead?
Yeah.
After the spirit box sessions, it's gone.
Yeah, it's like the energy's depleted. So we're going to review that now.
Gary's video sessions, spirit box ones look really good.
Something, please. Nothing. Breathing.
Have a listen to that. But right to you, you need to just listen, be very quiet, just listen, tell me what you hear. Or back mouth.
Knocking.
No, I didn't hear that, but...
Listen to that, there's knocking.
Right, okay.
Have a listen to that. There's 2 bangs. Yeah?
Yeah. Boom.
2 bangs.
Boom. Proper bang.
2
bang.
bangs. What did you ask? Don't throw something too
Something
heavy.
Mm.
So that's when I asked him, could you
Throw something. That's
throw
what
something?
It's,
2
it's
bangs.
after when you say too heavy.
Throw something, please.
I see.
Definitely.
It's 2 bangs, isn't it? Bang,
Yeah.
bang.
No, it's not happened yet. Now, so that's one. Well, just literally on 1 minute.
Right. It's on,
Okay.
split on 1 minute, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
So, right in there now.
Sorry, guys.
Right, you say
Throw something,
you after you speak. Listen.
not something too heavy.
But don't listen. Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
you-
Do it
you've
again,
not-
sorry.
You've got to listen.
You got to listen again. There's 2. Hear it? That?
2 bangs?
You hear that? You hear
Bang.
that? You hear that
Yeah.
sharp
Bang.
bang, which you heard just now, and then
And
you
then
go
like
boom,
a,
boom.
It's
Yeah.
literally like this, isn't it?
Yeah,
But not that loud. But it is literally
it is there.
2.
We're looking for spirit people who inhabit this property or work in this property, or in the property prior to the building of this, which would have been the windmill. Are you here with us this evening? This looks like
Yeah.
So that's a definite 2 bangs,
What I
isn't it?
was hearing in the background at the beginning of it, it was like, how can I explain it? It's like similar to like a woman singing away,
Really?
but it's very, very faint. It's hard to tell on that, but it could be, I don't know, it could be sort of just background noise.
Right.
It's hard to tell because the speaker's shit on this,
Okay.
but it's.
Well, now we know that there's a response to making noise.
Hmm.
Shall we ask again?
Yeah. Go for it.
What do you reckon, guys? Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. I'll put it on here, because
Are we recording?
just not move around, just stay
No,
still.
exactly.
Right, no fidgeting.
No.
Right, we're ready.
Excellent. Thank you so much for making those 2 bangs, those 2 noises that we heard on the voice recorder over there. Is it possible that you could try and do that again for us, please? Could you make a knocking noise or a stamping noise or thumping? That would be wonderful, please.
Hear it. What are you hearing?
Voice.
What them out there? Oh yeah, but they're playing something on their phone,
Oh, are they?
like a radio.
Very
thing.
faint. But yeah, it would be. If it's out there, it would be, wouldn't it?
Can you do something for us? Can you swing this chandelier or make it spin?
Could you tap on the ceiling, please?
Can you put your right leg in?
What's your review? Is it too loud?
You caught me out that one.
Thank you so much for making those 2 bangs, those 2 noises that we heard on the voice recorder over there. Is it possible that you could try and do that again for us, please? Could you make a knocking noise or a stamping noise something for us? Swing this chandelier or make it spin?
I'm hearing that like a voice in the background. I can't make it out.
You don't think that's bleeding through?
It sounds like a woman.
That's what I thought. It was a female voice, but it's just out of earshot, isn't it? You can just hear it.
Okay. What else do you reckon?
Nothing.
I've got to find out.
Clean it up a bit, maybe, and
Yeah, find out what she has to get it onto the proper speaker.
yeah.
Because it's hard to explain. It's like a woman sort of half singing or just sort of speaking.
Yeah, I heard. But you're right. I mean, what I was hearing could have come from next door, but then
I can't hear nothing.
nothing now. And before that, nothing.
Let's listen to it.
No.
No, it's not the same sound.
No, it's not. Which is quite odd.
Weird.
Right.
We wrapped up, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't hear much
End of
else.
vigil. Right, so we've concluded our investigation of this evening at Sutton Manor, and we think it's proved to us that there's something going on here, definitely. Although to what degree we can't really tell. We still got to review a lot of the footage and the audio and the video as well. There's definitely something underlying. There's definitely something going on. But I can't put my finger, and I don't think the guys can put their fingers on what exactly it is. But we've had a fantastic evening here. Hopefully we've liaised with some of the energies and spirits that live here or just visit, that have been a part of this property down through the centuries. And it's just been a wonderful evening. We've all enjoyed it. We've had good fun. And hopefully we'll come away with some form of evidence to be able to show you at some point. So it's a good night from me, guys. Thank you ever so much. We're going to leave this wonderful property now, and we're going to leave it to the energies that dwell herein. It's just nice to walk in the footsteps of those from the past that may be long lost to memory, and it's nice to interact with them and bring them back, bring their characters and personalities to some extent back to life. So thank you guys, and happy Halloween. Bye.
Word.